Welcome to another episode of Nerds with Mics. Today we dive into topics like the franchises that we want to see make a comeback, and we talk about another mystery question of the week. This is Nerds with Mics. Hello and welcome to episode 159 of Nerds with Mics. I'm Travis.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Justin.
And today, like I said, in the top of the show, we are going to talk about franchises that we would like to see make a comeback if they haven't already, and maybe some of the franchises that are starting to come back with a new game that maybe we're excited about. And then we're also going to talk about we're going to have another mystery question of the week because it slipped my mind last week and we didn't have one. So I think I realized after the episode had ended that we did not cover one. So we will be discussing another mystery question of the week. So that'll be fun. But as always, we always like to start by talking about what we've been up to. And Justin, since you weren't here last week, I'm going to let you start and you can talk about what you've been up to. So over to you.
Thank you so much, kind sir. I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. My goal is to have that game beat by the time Dragon Age comes out next week. And I'm pretty close to the end. I'm like 30 or 40 hours in.
30.
So it should be happening anytime now. I've also been playing a little bit of Silent Hill 2. Which I have a confession to make to you guys.
What's that?
I've never played a Silent Hill game before until this.
Okay.
Well, what do you think about Silent Hill? I'm sure you'll talk about it later on, but just general opinions on Silent Hill 2 so far.
Loving it. It's super creepy. Does a good job at making me feel unsettled at all times. And I feel like the game does a good job at like not making like the puzzles and stuff incredibly difficult because like the horror is so high. So like it does a good job of like a fine balance to where I'm not like in full blown panic mode, but I'm really liking it quite a bit. I also played a game based on your recommendation, Jared, called Liar's Bar. Ended up playing with a few drunk Russians the other night, and boy, that was a wild time. They were a lot of fun. We lost Jared though. So we're just going to keep on trucking.
This is a normal thing for him at this point.
Yep, he's back though. I think we're all back now. Sorry,
Jared, you're the worst, bro.
I'm sorry. What happened?
It's an every week thing at this point. Go ahead.
Yeah, it may or may not have booted all of us out. I couldn't tell. It looked like it did, but if it didn't, Liar's Bar I played with some drunk Russians, and that was a pretty fun time. So Jared, thank you for that recommendation, and thank you even more for putting it into our Steam library so I can play it. We all, as you know, we all live under the same roof, and because of that, Gabe, bless you, Gabe, allows us to have a shared Steam family library because we are a family.
Love you guys.
We've been rewatching Lost. And then our shows like Abbott Elementary came back. Ghost came back, but we haven't watched it yet. So just like the usual shows that we kind of watch. I am behind on The Penguin. I was really high on it, and I still am. I'm just behind. So that's a show I hope to get caught up on. But yeah. Jared, what have you been up to?
Here recently, I had a good bit of gaming going in this week, but one, just want to say I'm glad you enjoy Liar's Bar. It's definitely a lot of fun, and that will be one that we're all going to have to play. Yeah. But like I said, heavy week on gaming for me this week. Been getting decently into Satisfactory with our friend Kanan, which I'm sure Travis knows. Justin, I'm not sure if you do or not, but
maybe, but I'm not. If I do, and I don't remember. I do apologize.
Gotcha.
It's so awkward when that happens.
All good. But good bit of Satisfactory, a game that I know Justin has played. Not sure about you, Travis, but Hell Let Loose as well, which I know I mentioned either last week or the week before, but still definitely a lot of fun. Don't regret it at all. And then really the last thing for me, only show I've really watched this week, it's like a 6-part series on Netflix. It's called Gundam Requiem for Vengeance. It's like a newer Japanese animation, but it's actually really good. And if you all don't care if you want to watch it dubbed, you can, but I prefer watching stuff subbed. But definitely worth the watch if you've got like hour and a half, 2 hours to sit down and watch it. It's a relatively short episode, so But really, that's about it for me this week. What about you, Travis?
Well, for those of you that forgot to mention it, well, I had a little fun playing and streaming a game called Chained Together. I don't know if you guys were there or not, but that was a great time. Many shenanigans ensued in our first run through of Chained Together.
Sounded like it was a really good time for you, from what I've heard, Travis. But
yeah. There were several things that ensued during that stream, and we hope to stream that game soon, possibly tonight. We're not sure, but if you're hearing this, we've probably already streamed. So go check our social medias for that. But I have continued with Black Myth Wukong. I'm now in chapter 4. I am also caught up on Agatha All Along. There was kind of a cool reveal at the end of last episode. Still watching Bob's Burgers. I think I'm about to get into season 7, I think. And then also I was meal prepping for the week, and I watched a new movie, the new Beetlejuice, and it was just okay. It was not anything to write home about per se. It was just all right. It seems like it was very rushed. There was a lot of big plot points that were summed up all at the same time and relatively easy. I don't know. I would say more of the beginning and middle was more the nostalgia piece, but the latter half of the movie is where it kind of got away from me. I just wasn't a huge fan.
The best part of that movie to me was, I'm not going to say who, but the way that they wrote out a certain actor for a character was probably the best part of that movie, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then also I tried a new free-to-play MMORPG, Throne and Liberty. It's made by NCSoft, which is the same company that did the Guild War games, if you ever played those. I used to love Guild Wars back in the day. I tried to play this, and I guess the gameplay for me is a little different. It plays kind of like an action game, but it's also plays with like MMO, where you're hitting your abilities and all that stuff, and then your character does it. But I don't know. I need to go back and revisit it, because right out of the gate, it's a pretty game. Like visually, it's stunning, but the gameplay, I'm just not sure how I feel about it. So, have either of you played it?
Yeah, it was actually a game Oh, sorry, go on.
No, you're good. I was just saying I have not, so even better that you're going ahead there.
Yeah, it was actually a game that I was pretty excited about. I mentioned it a few episodes ago because I played through the beta and really liked it. I actually, surprisingly enough, though, haven't really spent a lot of time with it yet. So that's something I kind of hope to do more in the future.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know when you start it back up. But I downloaded it and I tried it, and I only spent maybe 30 minutes in it so far. But like I said, visually it's stunning, but gameplay, I just have to go back and see how I really feel about it. So, as far as news, we don't really have a whole lot of news. Actually, in fact, we have no news. It's been kind of a slow news week, honestly. There's not been anything really noteworthy, so to speak. So we're honestly just going to get right into our topic.
Wait a minute.
What?
Wait, what's happening? We have something breaking news.
Pull me up. Nope, pull me up.
No! Oh my god! Oh my god! No!
That was the worst idea you've had. As soon as you went, Jared went with you, and then yanked me off. You know what? I told you at the beginning of this stream, when I got both of you in here that are both fucking gestures. This is absurd.
Travis, what did Jared do to you?
He yoinked me off.
It's funnier still. It's so good. Okay.
I don't like this.
So that was breaking news. So that's what you can expect if you tune into our live streams. That's a little snippet of what occurred. So as you can see, Jared yoinked, then jerked, then yanked Travis off. With people who are only listening, you don't have the video to provide context. And you know what? I'm going to leave it at that.
I'm not going to lie. I had no idea that was coming, but at first I thought you were going to mention the fact that I had a piece of news listed there that Travis just skipped over, but I wasn't going to mention it.
Well, there was no context, and it was very easily missed, so go ahead. Sorry.
All I was gonna say was I can't remember if I talked about this or not, or if I know I sent the trailer to you all, but Secret Level with the Sony IPs, apparently after everything with the Helldivers major update, they are adding a Helldivers portion to the Sony Interactive episode. So if you've ever seen Love, Death, and Robots, it's by the same people that made that, but we're getting a full gaming anthology about uh, different IPs for every episode, and I'm super excited for it. So
That's not even the most important news that was released about that. You didn't even bring that.
go ahead, you can bring it. I was just
You even
excited
know-
about it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Mom and dad are fighting. Oh no.
I know.
I'll let you two sort out which one's mom and which one's dad. Go ahead.
Oh wow.
I mean, based off the clip that everybody just heard, I think one of those. I think that can explain at least part of it.
Yeah. So they actually announced the voice actors that will be coming to.
Ooh, that I did not see. Please share, Travis.
Yeah, I'll just hit you with some of the highlights. So, Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of them, which I think is I'm sorry, Patrick Schwarzenegger, I guess is one of them.
I see Arnold on there too.
Yeah, Arnold's on there as well. We also have somebody from Last of Us. There is Heaven Hart, which I don't know who Heaven Hart is. There's Ariana Greenblatt.
Kevin Hart?
Greenblatt. What did I? No. Oh, is it? Well, this is clearly spelled wrong. No, what I'm looking at is it literally says
it's Kevin Hart from
in the
Jumanji.
news article I'm reading. It literally says Heaven Hart is what I see.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. If it was but you're like, I don't know who that is. I do like how it shows Gabriel Luna from The Last of Us. He plays Tommy.
Oh well, I guess there's two people.
Wait, does he play Tommy?
Who?
Gabriel Luna.
I think so.
I think he. Yeah, he's Tommy on The Last of Us. But then down here it shows Laura Bailey, which of course she does a million things, but she's also in The Last of Us Part 2. So
yeah, so it looks like a pretty good cast, and that's not even all of them. But I'm excited to see. When I saw Arnold's name on there,
did you mention him?
Oh yeah, Keanu Reeves is in it too, which that's the big one for me. But I'm kind of curious to see what character Arnold voices.
Yeah,
you think he'll be in Helldivers? You think? No,
Mr. Echo is in this from Lost.
Let's go.
It honestly wouldn't surprise me if he is some capacity of the Helldivers.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Just like him giving a speech about democracy will probably be one of the pinnacle points.
Yeah. So one of the topics that we wanted to talk about this week, and this was actually a topic that Jared had brought. Jared, you want to kind of lead us into this conversation?
I would love to. So, I mean, the biggest thing, obviously this year we have this year and in the next coming years, we have a few series of games that are coming back that obviously a lot of people are excited for, which will be super nice to see them come back and kind of see how they get revived in the generation of games we're in now. But that also brings up to the effect of games that from our childhood that we used to enjoy that have went the way of the dodo, unfortunately, and have not made an announcement for return yet, or stuff we would wish to come back. So I think what we're going to start with here is, I think Travis is up on the top of our notes here, so I'll let him go first. But we're going to start with games that we're excited to see return. Then we'll kind of get into some games that we'd like to see be revised, maybe some stuff from our childhood, stuff that we used to enjoy playing couch co-op, stuff like that, and kind of see where it goes from there. The big thing is, I was talking to Travis earlier, there are a few things that are going to kind of go together for all of us here. So,
yeah, that's fine. The one thing too, when we get into the next section, I actually have some responses I want to read out from social media of some replies that we got for putting a post out there. So I'll make sure that we get into that when we go into the next section. But for me, when it comes to games that we're excited to see coming, and these are ones that have been announced that are in the works, whether or not these will come to fruition are two different things. So for me, BioShock 4, pretty excited about that. It's been a long time since we've gotten a BioShock game. I'm a fan of the franchise. And, I know that I'm trying to think of the developer, the last game that they did. I cannot remember the name of it. It's left me. They did a remake essentially, but all it did was make me want BioShock even more. So BioShock 4, I'm excited about. Also Splinter Cell. I'm excited to see if we get a new Splinter Cell. Supposedly they've been working on it. It's been teased, but we haven't really got a whole lot of information about it. For those of you that have been longtime listeners, you probably know that Splinter Cell has a special place in my heart, but also is a anchor of torment and memory playing games with Justin when playing Splinter Cell. One of the worst gaming moments of my life happened during. You just talked about it a couple weeks ago. Don't lie.
Not the worst though.
Yeah, there's only been 2 people that I can name that have ruined video games for me at a certain point in time. You were one of them, and we've already talked about that story. And the other one is my friend Alex that wrecked me. Even though we were teammates in a game of Hot Pursuit, he wrecked me at the end at the finish line just so he could take first place, even though he was on my team.
Nice.
Yeah, sounds like a jerk like you. But anyways, also they've announced that Sega is reviving a lot of classics. I don't know if you've seen these, but they're reviving and basically, remaking Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Shinobi, Crazy Taxi, and Jet Set Radio. They also this studio also owns a lot of other IPs as well, like Panzer Dragoon. For those of you that remember that game back in the day, Kid Icarus, a bunch of other games as well. But these are the ones that are actually confirmed that they're redoing. It was also announced that we were supposedly getting a remake I think it's a remake actually of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Whether or not that actually comes to fruition based on, underwhelming sales of, this past Star Wars game. I don't know. I mean, luckily that's a Ubisoft problem. I don't think a Star Wars problem. So we'll just have to wait and see. And then the last one that was on my list was Fable, because I'm a big fan of Fable. Now, Fable, we've gotten a lot of gameplay trailers and stuff like that, but I don't know. Have we actually gotten any concrete dates of when this is supposed to come out? We have not, right?
2025, right? They just, I think they confirmed the year, but not the actual date.
And I tell you what I find funny, and we may have talked about this already. I think we may have talked about it outside of the podcast, but I feel like the art style for Dragon Age and the art style for Fable and their newest iterations of these games have flip-flopped. The art style that I'm used to seeing in Fable is now the art style in Dragon Age and vice versa, which I find very interesting. So, Jared, do you want to go ahead and share yours?
I'll kind of go pretty quick through my first few here because, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of ours kind of share Travis. So obviously Splinter Cell, just because I don't feel like there's that many games out anymore that give you like that, like the more of the stealth gameplay kind of thing versus just a run and gun. So whenever I think that, like most recent memory of a game would be Metal Gear Solid, was it Phantom Pain? Phantom Pain, when it came out, was like you could choose to do everything stealth, but they still give you the option of run and gun in some aspects of it. But next for me, Knights of the Old Republic, which the trailer that they released for it just got me hyped as soon as it came out. But same as Travis, kind of concerned that news has went a little bit quiet on that. So I hope we still get it. I'm really looking forward to it. Fable, obviously, I think everybody should be excited for Fable, and if you're not, you're wrong, and I apologize. Last for me is a game that I'm honestly surprised is coming out in my lifetime, but the new Elder Scrolls game, whenever it finally releases, when I'm like 65 years old, I'll be able to play it for
I was going to say, you might
years.
have grandkids by the time that game comes out, honestly.
But
especially now that Microsoft's involved.
But just even the fact that we've got an announcement for it gets me really excited because Skyrim is by far one of my favorite games of all time, and just getting another Elder Scrolls game gets me super excited. So,
did you ever play Skyrim Job Never Too Big?
No, I have played Pacific Rim Job Never Too Big, though.
Okay, gotcha.
That's a deep cut.
That is
a
deep lore.
I know.
Jeez.
I thought about that. I was like, man, if Maxwell's here, he would know. He would know.
He would deliver that so well. To be like Pacific Rim Job Never too
big.
Never too big. Yeah.
I know, man. We need to have him back on.
Yeah.
As a party guest.
Maxwell, if you're out there listening, I know I'm no replacement for you, and I'll never be able to deliver that joke as good as you would. Maybe one day it'll be close, but never as good.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Justin, what do you got?
So yeah, we do share a lot of the same. Fable is a big one. Splinter Cell. I truly cannot wait for Fable. I know Travis and I would watch those game reveal shows for years. I feel like, and we'd be like, "Oh, hopefully we get Fable. Hopefully we get Fable," and we kept being disappointed. we get Fable finally, so I'm pumped. I'm also really excited for Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which is no secret it comes out next week. It's been a long time since we've had a
I gotta
Dragon Age
pre-order
game.
that. Yeah.
Been a long time, and I'm extra excited for Dragon Age because if that game is good, which I think it will be, it's gonna hype me up even more for their next game, Mass Effect 5 or 4, whatever they're gonna number it. I forget what they're calling it. And the Mass Effect trilogy is like probably one of the greatest like sci-fi trilogies of all time, across all mediums. So like, it's just really solid storytelling, and I can't wait to see where they take the story. So like, obviously, Mass Effect Andromeda had its issues. BioWare has had their issues. I feel really confident in Dragon Age. I hope in like 2 weeks' time, I'm not like, oh, Dragon Age sucks. But if I'm not saying that, if I'm like really hyped and I'm loving it, then I'm going to be even more excited for Mass Effect. And then, like I said, Fable and Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell's another game that Travis, you and I would be like, oh, hopefully we get a Splinter Cell game. And we finally got one. So those are like the two big ones. I remember like 5 years ago, we are like, that's all we want. Splinter Cell and Fable, Splinter Cell and Fable. And now it's happening, baby. Let's go. But yeah, those are mine. Looking at your all's list, I also agree with KOTOR and Elder Scrolls. Bioshock 4 as well. I'm pumped for that one. So yeah, we definitely have a lot of similar interests when it comes to games. Yeah, what's up?
One that I forgot about that they announced is I'm actually excited for the new Perfect Dark. Because I forgot they revealed that.
I need to see some gameplay first. That studio's been a mess.
Yeah.
They can woo me all they want, but I need to, at this point, it's been like 9 years. I need to see something.
That is true. That is true.
I have hope, but like,
yeah,
I'm not.
I don't know what Microsoft's doing, bro.
Dude,
I got real concerns, honestly.
Dude, Flight Sim 2024 is coming out this year. They're okay.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah.
All right. Actually, Black Ops comes out this week, so that'll be their first Call of Duty game under their ownership of Activision Blizzard. So
yeah, I'm interested to see how that ends up turning out. I'm not sure if either of you took part in the beta, but it was definitely some interesting choices I feel like were made. But
yeah, I am cautious. I'm going to blame some of my gripes on the small maps with the new omnidirectional movement. I don't think those two things went well together.
Yeah, if you were going to do that, I feel like it would have to be much larger maps.
Yeah,
because it went from me being able to sprint around a corner and still fight somebody to them jumping down the stairs facing backwards and then sprinting away, running backwards and shooting me. So
yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, so before we get into the next section, I feel like we're going to have more of a discussion, and we also have more games because these are things that we would like to see brought back that haven't been announced. But before we get into this section, I just want to quickly go over the 3 comments that were read or that were sent to us. So from Justin, longtime listener, he had said, I'd love to play a remastered version of GoldenEye for 64. That game's so much fun. Now, Justin, you sent us was it you that sent us an article about a 007 for younger generations? Did you send that a couple weeks ago in chat? A link?
Me?
I think that was you, Justin.
Oh, it was about the new game that they're making. It's like it's like an origin story. Yeah. Not like for younger generations, but it's like a younger Bond. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be curious to see how that is. Now, obviously it's not going to be no GoldenEye. And they tried to do though. Yeah, they try to do other versions of GoldenEye. Like I remember Rogue Agent and
Rogue Agent was a choice.
Yeah. So I will be kind of curious to see what they do with that, if anything. And I know the big problem with getting a remaster of that, and a lot of that is a lot of licensing issues, because I think that was a Rare title, right? And then you obviously had the MGM. Who owns the rights to James Bond? I can't remember.
MGM and Sony, I think. Is it
yeah,
Sony now?
so it makes it very difficult to do anything with that kind of title when you have so many
like
different
GoldenEye is tied up with it's like owned, and I'm probably wrong, but it's like owned by like 5 different people. Yeah. But you know what other game was really good and was made, I think, by EA was Nightfire.
Yeah.
Nightfire was good. The World Is Not Enough was an EA game, and that was a good one. So I mean, if they release like a classic Bond collection. Oh my gosh, sweet. Dude.
That would be
so
good.
Awesome. Yeah. What was the one third person game that had I think Shannon Elizabeth was in it as the Bond girl. And
and she's the girl from American Pie, right?
yeah. Shoot,
It's,
what was that called?
it's not The World Is Not Enough. That's
No,
not
that
it.
was a different one.
I think it was a one-off. You'll have to look it up and let us know. But
Everything or Nothing.
Oh, okay. Now, I had told him, I had replied to him in the comments, and I said, well, there's a company by the name of Analog that's actually releasing a new 64 that it works with 100% of games. It also has an SD card slot for you to play. What's funny is they advertise it as it doesn't do any kind of emulation, but it also has an SD card slot to play games, but it'll also play real cartridges, but it upscales them to 4K. You can also do regular controllers like the OG ones and physically plug them in, but they're also selling their own Bluetooth 64 controllers as well. Now the console itself starts at $250, so it's not cheap, but it will upscale 64 games to 4K, which could be cool.
Real quick, can you take a guess at who all is in this Everything or Nothing video game? It actually has way more actors and actresses in it than I remember.
Now, was this a made for game one, or was it based off of a movie?
It was made as an original story for the game, but it was presented as a movie when you played it.
Oh, I have no idea. So this is the same one with Shannon Elizabeth? Right?
Yeah. So everyone all gave their voice and likeness.
Is Peter Dinklage in it?
Peter Dinklage? What? I don't know.
I was just guessing.
Pierce Brosnan as Bond. Judi Dench as M. John Cleese as Q. Willem Dafoe, Heidi Klum, Shannon Elizabeth, and Richard Kiel reprised his role as Jaws.
Wow.
Dude, what? That's like an A-list game right there.
That's wild. That's wild.
Willem Dafoe. I don't remember Willem Dafoe being in that game.
I also did not expect Willem Dafoe because I didn't look anything into the new Beetlejuice. So when he shows up in Beetlejuice, I'm like, Willem Dafoe's in this movie?
Willem Dafoe's in everything now.
Yeah. We also had a comment sent in from Ben. He said, I would like to see a Medal of Honor Frontline remastered to PS5 with PS5 graphics and even the first two Medal of Honor games. That's one thing as a kid I'll never forget, is playing the opening scene to Medal of Honor Frontline and then watching Saving Private Ryan. I'm like, is this the same thing? Is this the same thing?
Both directed by Spielberg.
I was going to say, I think both was directed by Spielberg. And then we also had a comment sent in by good old Terry. He said, Infamous Second Son is underrated. A new Infamous on PS5 would be dope. I mean, when I see that same company, because that's the same company, if I'm not mistaken, that makes the new Spider-Man games. I think if they made a new Infamous, it would be really dope. So I am with you on there, or at least have remasters of the first two. You can't even, they haven't even ported them to PC. Even a port to PC would be cool, I think. All right. So I think what we should do for the next one, since I have a little bit more than you both, what we'll do is let's rotate. But what I'll do is I'll read two of mine for every one of yours. How's that sound? Is that okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So for me, my first one is the video game series Lost Planet, which originally was released in 2006. For those of you that haven't played Lost Planet kind of reminds me of what we got before Monster Hunter. And I don't know if Monster Hunter was out in 2006, but essentially frozen world invaded by bugs and all kinds of craziness. And essentially it played very much kind of like a shooter version of Monster Hunter almost, I would say. But I would love to see that remade or remastered with like the new Resident Evil 4 style graphics that they used in the new RE4 remake. I think would be really cool. I like those franchises a lot. That was obviously a Capcom joint. And then I would also like to see a continuation, or I would take a remaster, but a continuation would be nice, of Battlefield Bad Company. I would love to see. I love that franchise. I thought it was great. It was something kind of refreshing when we were so used to playing like the serious tones of the regular Battlefield games. And now you get kind of thrown into a group of misfits, right? And I thought it was great. It still had the destructible environments and all that. And the campaigns, I feel like we've really gotten away from in these style of games. And I remember the Battlefield Bad Company campaigns always being pretty good. So those are the first two that I had. Jared, what was one of yours?
So first one for me, I'm not sure if either of you ever played them, but I remember a large portion of my childhood playing the Conflict games on PS2. I more specifically, the one I remember the most is Conflict Desert Storm, and I just remember my cousin and I sitting on the couch just playing that game for hours and hours. And there's something that's just it's refreshing to have just a simple co-op shooter. I think is the biggest thing for me because kind of to get like as to what you were saying, Travis, is a lot of the stuff like with Bad Company is we're getting away from those like single player or co-op experiences in favor of the full-on multiplayer, which I kind of just miss that. Just being able to just grab a few friends and run through. But the campaigns for those were all really good, especially because it was so grounded in reality. It wasn't any of the crazy stuff that comes out of some of the campaigns now.
Right.
But I just have some very good memories with that game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good one. I actually played those games a lot with my dad. He was kind of the one that we would always play. We always had these war games that we would play together. There were Medal of Honor, the OG Call of Duty ones when they were doing like World War II and the OG ones. And then we would play the Conflict games as well. So I definitely remember those.
I still
Justin,
remember playing Conflict, though. You always want to be player 2 because then you got the LMG guy instead of the sniper and
That's
AR
right.
guy.
That's right. And another game, it's not on my list, but another game him and I used to play together, and this is kind of a deep cut. Do you all remember the Army Men games?
I do remember the Army Men games.
Yeah, we used to play a lot of those. Justin, I should have known this would be at the very top of your list.
Justin, before you say it, I just want you to know I was going to add. I had put my notes in before you did, and I was like, I want it as well, but I'm going to let Justin talk about it.
That's all right. The more people that want it, the better. Yeah,
well, there's at least two of us. So.
Yes, there are dozens of us. No, SOCOM. SOCOM to date is still the greatest multiplayer shooter experience I've ever had. It is a game where it's basically the game that built console online gaming. And to see Sony neglect it and kill it the way they have is honestly shameful. Because without SOCOM, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. There was a point in time where it had more online players than all of Xbox Live. So it's just crazy to me that Sony just left it out to die.
It could have been so it could have been their Call of Duty essentially. It could have been Sony's franchise like that.
Oh, I have a low stakes conspiracy theory if you want to hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Sony killed all of their multiplayer shooters around the time that they had the Call of Duty marketing rights. Yeah. And now I'm actually hoping since I was actually rooting for Xbox to buy up Call of Duty because I'm like, Killzone, Resistance, SOCOM, let's go. Yeah, I'm like, bring them all back. So that's kind of my low stakes conspiracy theory. Yeah, SOCOM is just one of the greatest, like between SOCOM 1 and SOCOM 2, and really 3 in combined assault if you want to, where like it's like the greatest chunk of like my youth. Like that's what I remember the most, honestly, which might be sad. Who knows? I might need therapy after this. But no, I truly love those times. I mean, my friend and I that I would school with, we would wake up early to play SOCOM, and we'd get home from school and we'd play SOCOM. And like, this is actually going to sound really creepy in hindsight. We were like probably freshmen. We're like playing with like grown men, you know? So maybe not the best thing in hindsight, but like I'm still friends with all those guys on PlayStation. I was friends with the guy who ultimately, I was in his clan, the guy who ultimately made Game Battles that became Major League Gaming, which he sold it before then. He was our clan leader in PG. So like, it was just like these people like I still am friends with and talk to occasionally, and will occasionally hop into a game of Fortnite with them. So it literally created long lasting friendships for me. So I'm eternally grateful for SOCOM. I need it back. Sony, come on, please. I know you listen to the show, Sony. Please.
See, I told you you'd be way more passionate about it than what I would have been, Justin.
I'm more passionate about SOCOM than I am probably like anything real in my life.
Do you ever tweet directly at Sony and just like, hey, we're SOCOM?
Not directly at Sony. So there was a movement a few years ago to write a letter to I forget his name now, and the community did it. It was like probably 10,000 people like put their signature on it. And he basically said like, oh, thanks. And then like he read it, like and acknowledged it and was just like, okay, thanks. And that was it. Basically said the SOCOM that you remember isn't like it wouldn't age well. Like it's not what you remember. You wouldn't want that now. And people are like,
Don't
dude, we
don't
play
tell
it.
me what I want.
Well, it's like people play it still today using the LAN feature to join custom servers. So there's definitely a market.
Are you one of those people?
I have, yeah. It's a pain to set up, but when you need that
Okay.
fix, it's there.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh, I'm
You
super
need the
passionate about SOCOM.
fix.
If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, was it the same studio that they did the Mag game for,
Yeah.
or no?
Zipper.
Zipper. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, shame on Sony one more time because they released SOCOM 4. Not only was SOCOM 4 bad, they tried to make it more modern, right? We didn't want that. We wanted the tactical third person. But they released it like the day that the Sony hack happened and basically killed it right when the servers came back. And we're like, yeah, SOCOM's dead. Sorry.
They walked it out there just to kill it.
Pretty much. It was a game that like required you to be online and
yeah,
it died. So
yeah, that sucks, dude. Somebody should do it. Has anybody, well, let me ask you this. Has anybody tried to do a spiritual successor to a game like SOCOM?
We've had several.
I feel like we're going down the rabbit hole, but I have to know.
We are. So there was a game that was originally backed by one of the SOCOM developers called H Hour. Had some controversial fundraising practices and then execution of some things were controversial. The game did launch and it was good. Then there is a game called Task Force, which is still in development, but like updates are kind of rocky. Some people in the SOCOM community don't really care for the developer. I don't have a problem. Anybody could give me a SOCOM spiritual successor, and I'm gonna be fine with it.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad we got.
Had to sneeze. I'm glad I got that sentence out so I can mute my mic.
There you go. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and say Infamous was on my list as well. I meant to say that when I brought up Terry's comment.
Where's the passion?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not super passionate about that. However, this next title, Time Splitters, came out in 2000s. This is way back in the day, but they actually ended up making 3 games. Time Splitter 2 is probably still one of my favorite games of all time. It was very much kind of around that time frame where everybody was wanting that GoldenEye experience, and then Time Splitters came out, and it was very much like that because it was also a Rare title, or Eidos. I can't remember. It was one of the two. But I think it was Rare. But anyways, the concept of the game was great. Like you jumped in all these different time periods, and your weapons changed, and obviously the scenery, the characters, all that type of stuff. It was kind of like a Quantum Leap type video game with like GoldenEye controls, essentially. And what's funny is they had supposedly announced that they were going to come out with a Time Splitters 4. I think it was like 2021 or something like that. But they announced it. It never came out. And one of the developers had sold their dev kit on eBay, and somebody had bought it and went through the source code and actually got a working version of it, but they couldn't get it off the console. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But this would have been released on PS3, so this is actually a while back. But the fact that we never got another Time Splitters game really makes me sad. The next game I played religiously, especially Red Faction 1 and Red Faction 2, but Guerrilla was also pretty good as well. But it was more of like the open world-esque of that. But I really liked Red Faction as well. I would love to see that game come back. That was one of the first games that I remember destructible environments playing such a big deal, because like if you couldn't get through a door, you could just mine a hole around it. Or if like, you wanted to bring down an entire building on somebody, you could do that. But yeah, so Time Splitters and Red Factions and Red Faction were 2 other games that I had as well. So Jared, over to you.
1, Red Faction, very good call. Number 2 is big shout out to whoever that was you mentioned earlier that put it in the comments. Ben, you are a real one. Just want to let you know that. One series that I would like to see make a return and preferably get back to its roots. I know that World War II era shooters are kind of dying off, unfortunately, for a campaign story side of thing, but Medal of Honor, I would love to see Medal of Honor come back. The spiritual successor they did with Medal of Honor that came out like early 2010s, maybe before Warfighter. It was pretty good. Warfighter was meh. The stories I thought were pretty good. The gameplay was actually pretty good. The gunplay was pretty good. But as Travis said earlier, there's just something I miss about the cinematic kind of set pieces of charging up the beaches of Normandy in the opening intro of Medal of Honor Frontline, and just the older Medal of Honor games, which I know we've gotten a newer one with. They did a VR release not too long ago, right?
Yeah.
But I would just like that classic, like it doesn't have to have any multiplayer. Just give me a single player experience, just classic Medal of Honor. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, or just give me a remaster of Frontline and we'll call it a day.
I tell you, I remember being the thing outside of the cinematic of the first Medal of Honor game. I remember the sound design. I was just blown away by the sound of the bullets when you actually drop the clip, and just the sound of everything I felt like was next level when I played that game. But yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Oh, just there's a bug on my screen. Sorry about that. Just the set pieces of you go so many different places in that game as well. I mean, you go from the beaches of Normandy to okay, now now I work for the OSS and I'm an operative that's sneaking into a German submarine base. And oh, now I'm out of the submarine base, but the only way I got out was by sneaking into a submarine. So now I'm fighting my way through. You go from this giant open area of a fully operational sub base to now I'm fighting through the cramped corridors of a submarine. So it was just like playing that on PS2. Even though like I've tried to go back and play it, like hooked up the PS2, got it ready, and those controls are not fun to try to use now. The controls have not aged well. The game itself, I still love it. Still holds a special place in my heart.
It's hard to think about that when that game came out, that was before there was joysticks on controllers, the PlayStation controller. You know, because that was the OG. Well, no, that was PS2.
Frontline was PS2, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, you're right. All right, Justin, what's your next one? Ooh, that's a good one.
Before I do my next one, I would like to say that I know it's World War I, but I think like a third-person game kind of set around like the 1917 movie would be pretty sweet.
That would be sweet.
Ooh,
be very intense. Especially if they made it like one continuous playthrough, like the movie, where like it didn't like have levels and stuff.
Make it a roguelike, a permadeath.
Oh my god, dude!
Restart at the beginning.
Sweet. Oh, that'd be.
Oh, and there's no like loading screens. They're all hidden in like in like transitions and stuff, like they do with God of War.
God of War.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Good
call. You should write that in.
I should. My next one. So I have a couple. You want to do two since they're both Sony games.
That's fine.
Very Sony top heavy. So I had Killzone, and just today, Guerrilla Games said that they're done with that franchise. Or it was reported. It doesn't mean Sony's done with it. It just means Guerrilla's done with it. So it's because Guerrilla's probably making a SOCOM game. But Killzone, it's been a long time. That game was also killed around the time of the marketing deal with Call of Duty. So low stakes conspiracy theory. And then another one is kind of a deep cut.
This is a deep cut.
I think we had two games in this series on the PS2 era, and it came out around the time of like GTA 3 and Vice City. It was called The Getaway. It was basically a British GTA, extremely British, but it wasn't as polished. It had some clunk to it, but it was a lot of fun.
It was like the Guy Ritchie GTA, essentially.
That's a good way to put it. So that's a game that I would love to. I know for a fact it would not age well because it wasn't even properly aged when it came out. But the world was just so much fun.
It was impressive for that.
Yeah, and there was no mini map. Do you remember how you found out where you were going?
Blinker.
Your car's blinker would blink. You had to pay attention to that. So there was no mini map, minimal HUD. And it was just a really fun game. And yeah, I would like to see that game get revived. I feel like that would be a fun kind of narrative. Imagine if like Naughty Dog made that.
Ooh, that's a good call. Yeah.
Oof. Yikes. I'm full of good ideas tonight. But
you really are.
Yeah, I've got Killzone.
Must be no baseball games on. That must be why.
NBA's on. First day of the season. Let's go.
Oh my god. That's hilarious. All right. Yeah, so for me, two more games. So I don't know. I went through a big phase where I played a lot of Devil May Cry games and games that were kind of like Devil May Cry. And one of those games being Onimusha. which was, I think, another Capcom game where you played a samurai, but it was like the quick action type game. I think they did 2 games, and then there was a couple spinoffs in the series. But I really like that franchise because it was a different take on kind of like a Devil May Cry-esque game. I like the story, the setting, the character, all that stuff. And then a little racing game that you all may have heard of called Burnout. I always had a blast with those games. They were very fun arcade racers, but they also had the mode where you had to see how much damage you could rack up when you crashed a car. I always thought that was really fun, and it was always fun to play online. I remember, I think the last game in the franchise, if I'm not mistaken, was Burnout Paradise, which I think was remastered and re-released. But I would like to see that come back with like a modern console or PC release. But yeah, Onimusha and Burnout. So what about you, J-Rod?
Next up for me, one game you've already mentioned, Travis, but Battlefield Bad Company. I just feel like it definitely came out at a time on the 360 when we were starting to shift into some more like serious and heavy games were kind of what the direction was going. And this kind of scratched that itch of a shooter, but you still got like your funny moments that could still be heavy when they needed to be.
Yeah.
But it's like Travis said, it's just a game that I remember from playing whenever I was younger. But the destructible environments that you were in, just being able to, didn't feel, even though it was completely scripted, it didn't feel as scripted because you could just go steal a truck that enemies parked and got out of and drive it to your next objective. If you got near a helicopter, being able to steal a helicopter and fly it around. I still remember, I can't remember if it was Bad Company 1 or 2, but one of my favorite memories from any of those games is the scene where you're on the dictator's golf course and you steal the attack helicopter and you're just messing stuff up as you fly down the golf course. It's still one of my favorite gaming memories. But yes, Bad Company, please, Battlefield, listen. After what you did at the launch of 2042, you could give us a Bad Company 3 and all will be forgiven. Just saying.
Yeah. I'd love the banter between the characters in those games too. That was always one of my favorite parts of the game. All right.
Did you ever dive into Battlefield Portal within Battlefield 2042?
Once or twice I did. Just where are you referring to like where it took you back like the World War II setting and stuff like that? You could do like modern soldiers against they had
World War II, they had Bad Company, they had Battlefield 3, Battlefield Bad Company, and then Battlefield 1942. But I actually just jumped into that within the last month, and it's just all like old soldiers versus new soldiers. So it's just like World War II soldiers facing off against futuristic soldiers. It's kind of lame now.
I wish we would get a, speaking of, I know it's not Bad Company, but I really would like to see another Battlefield Vietnam as well.
Yeah.
But Battlefield Vietnam got done. Yeah, I was going to say it got done dirty. So,
yeah, I would agree. All right, Justin, what's your next game?
My next one, this is going to be kind of a weird one because we technically got one not too long ago. And in fact, we got another version of it this year. But the Batman Arkham games, after Arkham Knight, we got Suicide Squad, which was horribly received and honestly just a bad game. And then they did make a Batman Arkham game for VR within the MetaQuest sphere of games. But I want Rocksteady to keep pumping out superhero games that aren't games as a service, whether it's Batman, Superman, a different hero. I mean, I think them making a game set like in the Boys universe would be sweet too. But like they need to be making games, single player games. They don't need to be messing around with online games like Suicide Squad. That game was just such a disaster. They did they didn't make Gotham Knights, which I actually didn't hate Gotham Knights. I don't know if you guys.
It got better over time, I feel like.
I kind of liked it. But Suicide Squad, the fact that that's the same team that made Arkham Knight, Arkham City, and Arkham Asylum, that's like really depressing. So I'd like to see them return to form and make either a Batman Arkham game or another single player game that's like awesome.
Yeah. No, that's a good call. And I think the you were saying that we got another version of it. You talk about the VR title, it's getting released.
Arkham Shadows, I think, is what it's called.
Yeah.
Which I want to try that out.
Yeah, I guess if you pre-order the new MetaQuest or whatever, I think it comes with a copy of that. I think
you're right.
Which is kind of cool.
It came out today, actually.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Well, go get your VR and put it on right now and try it
Oh
out.
my gosh, yeah, give me a second. It does say a review from Upload VR. It says a triumphant return for the Caped Crusader.
Oh,
The
that's cool.
This is another review. The MetaQuest's most epic VR release yet. Okay, I'm in.
You're sold. You're
sold.
But you get motion sickness, so I don't know how you're going to be
I
Batman,
do.
bro.
I'll play it in 10-minute bursts. I'll be like,
Yeah.
where are they? Hang on.
Yeah. All right. So for me, 2 games. So there was an open world game that came out back in 2012. I do believe it was a Square Enix game, oddly enough, called Sleeping Dogs. It was like a martial arts style GTA. I want to say it's a John Woo. I think John Woo inspired it or wrote
he
it or
did.
something. But that game is very underrated. If you have not played Sleeping Dogs, it's a great game. The combat was amazing. It kind of reminded me of the old Matrix game, the combat with like the parry system and being able to use things in the environment and all that stuff. It was a really well done game, but they never did a follow up to that game. I think they re-released like a definitive edition, but it wasn't even like a remake or anything like that. But it was available on consoles and also PC. If you haven't played it, I would recommend checking it out. But I feel like a modern version of that game would be really cool.
Would be.
And then because we haven't gotten a new Castlevania game, I think since 2014, because mostly everything we've gotten has been re-releases of older Castlevania games and collections and all that stuff, is a new Castlevania game. I would like to see one of those. I know that they're getting ready to do like a Castlevania / Vampire Survivor crossover, which is interesting. But I wouldn't mind seeing a new modern 3D version of Castlevania. I know that back on the 360, they actually had the newer style, like actual 3D Castlevanias, but I would be fine with a modern side scroller or a new 3D one. But yeah, those are the 2 that I had. So Jared, what was your 4th one?
Next for me is a little game called Sly Cooper. Definitely a large chunk of my childhood. I think that was actually might have been like one of the first games that I ever like actually got into, aside from maybe like some of the bad PS1 games that I had at my family's house. Like whenever you had the which, not to offend anybody if they love this game, but the bass fishing game on the PS1 is like stuck in my head as something that like one of my first video games experiences, because
I remember those.
my grandfather, that was like the only game he wanted to be able to play, and they bought a PlayStation just so he could play Bass Fisherman on PlayStation. But aside from the point, but yes, Sly Cooper just holds a special place in my heart. It's one of my childhood favorites, and I just feel what I'm really hopeful for is we've seen a lot of those older titles come back. So I'm really hoping that we've gotten a Spyro remaster, we've gotten a Crash Bandicoot remaster, and a new Crash
Ratchet
Bandicoot
and Clank.
game. Ratchet and Clank. I'm really hoping Sly Cooper might come up on the board soon. And
maybe a Jack and Dexter as well.
That would be nice as well, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And then, Justin, you up?
Yeah, my next one, this is also kind of a weird one because it hasn't been that long since we had a game, but I would like to see another single player entry into the Fallout series.
Oh yeah.
I imagine with the success of the show, we'll probably get one. I think Microsoft has even hinted as such. But I remember when 4 was announced, and even 76, it was like there was no like announcement trailer like 3 years before, like they did with Elder Scrolls, or 5 years. It was like, oh hey, it's E3, we're making Fallout 4, and in November you're gonna play it. And it was like the same thing with 76. So I kind of hope like maybe next year, like, oh, Fallout 5's coming and you're gonna play it this year, because that's always the best kind of surprise. Not, oh, here's a really cool CGI trailer we made, and maybe you'll play it before you're dead.
You mean kind of like Elder Scrolls?
Thanks.
Elder Scrolls, and basically every game that does that. Yeah, Hellblade too. I do worry with Microsoft that they will do that. That they will, because they did it with it literally everything they've made. Avowed,
It's
Perfect Dark,
possibility.
Fable. I mean,
Yeah.
So I don't want an announcement trailer no more than 6 months before I play the game.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I also agree. All right, so 2 more for me. Back in 2005 on Xbox, they released a little title called Ninja Gaiden Black. Obviously, Ryu Hayabusa, I think is his last name, is how you say it. Another action game. it's touted to be one of the more difficult games if you've ever played it. It's one of those games, if you don't block and counter, you're going to die. But it's not a Souls-like game. It's kind of like a Devil May Cry-esque game. Bosses fights are really hard, but I remember the graphics being really good at the time when I played it. And they made, I think, 3 of them, but the third one wasn't received very well. But it is a franchise I would like to see them go back and visit. And then the next one is kind of a combination of things. Do you all remember like the NBA streets and the NFL streets and the FIFA streets?
I actually have NBA Street on my list. So if you want
Yeah.
to tag team this one.
Oh yeah, that's great. And then I had that, and then also Slash. I guess it's extreme sports games, and also like the Blitz games, like
Yeah.
that genre of game. Even the backyard wrestling games, like those were fun. Like Def Jam, whatever the Def Jam fighting game was, like those type of games where it was just fun, silly. It didn't take themselves serious. Like I used to play like 3-on-3 street basketball in NBA streets all the time, like those type of games. Now, what's you go ahead and talk about your thoughts, but did they ever bring anything like this back to like a 2K game? I know you can play outdoor ball, but
There's
it's
street
still more
ball in 2K, but it's still very much like
simulation.
It's not as goofy and over the top. There was an NBA, oh gosh, I think it's called NBA Playgrounds, but I think that was more of a. I'm looking it up now. I think it was more of a, more of like an NBA Jam, but like not as good. NBA Street, as far as I know, along with the NBA Live series, they're just dead because both of those were EA. I don't know if EA lost the license or what. Man, NBA Street was like
that was the golden age of EA.
It had like that game had like a personality.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like cool. So man, I would love to see it. And I feel like
the soundtracks were always fun. The environments, the characters were vibrant. Also, think about like Ready to Rumble Boxing was kind of in that same genre.
Yes,
like
great game.
That whole like genre of style games, I would like to see have a comeback.
Yes, just like the over the top animation sports games, kind of.
Yeah,
NFL Blitz will not come back.
No,
the NFL will not let that happen.
The last one, you were shooting up with like, I think you were shooting up with steroids and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, they had lost the NFL license, I think, for that one, though, didn't they?
Yeah. They did. Well, now that we've, Jared, we'll kick it back over to you for your 5th one.
Next one for me is a little game called Dishonored, which I assume you all have played Dishonored, and
love it.
I love Dishonored, and same thing is as far as I know, I haven't seen anything about a new one coming out or heard any whispers of it or anything like that.
When did the second one come out?
Like a year after the first one.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was relatively quick after.
Okay, go ahead. You can keep talking while I look stuff up.
Oh, I was just gonna say you're my Jamie in this podcast. Apparently, go ahead and pull that up for me, Travis.
Yeah.
Dishonored 2 was released almost a decade ago.
Yeah. Which, that's one of those games that I have went back and played Dishonored 2. That game aged very well, in my opinion. But there's just something that the story was great, the gameplay was great, the kind of like puzzle platformer kind of feel it had to it about sneaking through this window to get into the next door building to get to a target so they wouldn't see you or... Oh, so good. But I
can't believe that game was out in 2016. It doesn't feel that long ago to me. That's why I was like, what? It's that really been that long? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 2024 now, Travis.
It's on sale on Steam for $6 right now. 80% off.
Time to play it again. So
yeah. Did you all see the Quarry I sent you all on sale? It's on sale for $9 on Steam, which is crazy.
Have you played the Quarry yet?
I have it on PlayStation. I've not played it. I played it Until Dawn, but I've not played the Quarry.
Quarry is good. I believe, Justin, I think at one point in the last few episodes, you mentioned the Man from Medan or whichever one it was. Like, all those are very good.
Yeah. All right, Just
real quick. The voice cast of Dishonored. Do you know who else is in this game?
No, let us have it.
I know there's some big ones, though.
Chloe Grace Moretz, Rosario Dawson, John Slattery, Susan Sarandon, Carrie Fisher, Michael Madsen, Lena Headey, is that her name? Headey. Robin Lord Taylor. I saw in here that Vincent D'Onofrio. So like it has an absolutely stacked cast as well. What is it with these games tonight that we've come across?
It's
Um,
big budget.
Also, Roger Jackson was in this game. Do you know who Roger Jackson is?
No, lay it on me, dog.
Is it any relation to Peter Jackson?
It is. It's his dad.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, it's he's the voice of Ghostface.
Oh.
Okay. All right, Justin. What's your next title?
I lost my place. Oh, another game that kind of had a personality and was just super cool. We haven't had one in a long time. SSX. The super cool snowboarding game from like the PS2 era. I actually don't remember the last one that we got. Do you?
Like Tricky 3? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
Tricky was my favorite.
Yeah.
Tricky.
I'm looking it up now. It looks like we got SSX and it was like a remake. Oh no, oh, that's right. They made one in 2012, a reboot, and I don't believe it was received very well. Yeah, Edge. Remember Edge magazine gave it a 5 out of 10. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. Actually, that's kind of.
Of course they did. Too much snow.
Actually, Open Critic has it as an 82,
and we missed it. We're the reason that we didn't get another one.
It was the 5th best-selling game of that year, behind Mass Effect 3, Resident Evil, Operation Raccoon City, MLB 12 The Show, and NBA 2K12.
That game was fun. And another game I would like to throw out there as well, which I don't really know if I need to say it because they remastered, I think, 1 and 2, but the Tony Hawk games are always fun.
Yeah. They need to do Thug next.
If we're going to honorable mention there, don't know what the last one we got was, but the MX versus ATV games, just where
fun.
you could choose to race, or you could just go open world and find different vehicles scattered around. That's my honorable mention.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. So the last 2 that I have, well, technically it's 3, but 2 are in the same genre. So the Twisted Metal games, because I think the last one we got was Twisted Metal Black, which I think was online only, if I'm not mistaken. But I think it was PS3 era. So Twisted Metal I always thought was fun. Great multiplayer game, great couch co-op game. And then in the same genre, you have Driver, which was literally you're just a getaway driver. And then Stuntman, which those are both just strictly driving games. One you play a stuntman, the other you play a getaway driver. And the stuntman was always cool because like you got to see the clip after you're done of how it was used in the movie. And I always just thought that was a really cool concept. I think they had a Stuntman 1 and a Stuntman 2. But yeah, I always thought those games were really fun. I don't think they'd probably do well nowadays, but I did think that they were pretty fun when I played them. All right, Jared, your last one. I'm really excited about this one because I can't believe I didn't think of this one.
Yeah. I know. I'm honestly surprised because we've talked about it before, and I'm honestly surprised you didn't beat me to have it on the list. But Mercenaries.
Great game.
Mercenaries, I think came out before Just Cause. Is that correct?
Yes, because this is back on regular Xbox, I think. Let me look it up.
Mercenaries walked just so Just Cause could run.
That is 2005. So yeah.
But Mercenaries, just being able to it was Mercenaries 1 and 2. 2 was where you had like the support you could call in, where you could just call in like an artillery strike and stuff.
World in Flames was the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, World in Flames was the one I put the most into because after the PlayStation 2, my next big console was the 360. And I just remember just being able to, it was one of those things that was just a fun shooter and just being able to just call in a vehicle whenever you want, being able to call in artillery whenever you want, and just be able to run through and destroy things, destroy everything, just like Just Cause. But it's been, when was that, the 2005, was that the first Mercenaries?
Release? Yes, and then 2008, and then 2008 was it was the second one.
So I mean, like 2008. And so obviously, it's been a pretty good while, and again, it's one of those games. Haven't heard anything about it coming back. I wouldn't be angry if it did.
LucasArts is who did that. That and Pandemic Studios, those two.
Which the only thing that scares me is I don't think we'll ever see it make a comeback, but I would be happy if it ever did.
Yeah, that was PS2 and Xbox. Yeah, those games are great. And I love that the people that you always went after was like a deck of cards.
Yep.
That's how they did it, which I thought, because they've done that before, which I thought was really, really cool. All right, Justin, I think you have 1 or 2 left. If you have 2 left, then just go ahead.
Just
and
one.
Cover
Yeah, I just have one. NFL 2K. EA's had the license since NFL 2K5, so almost 20 years now. That has been 20 years. The 20th, yeah. Wow, geez, that's
They
I
came
counted
out
up
with
and
that
everything.
game where it wasn't real players like a while back. I don't even know how long that's
All Pro
been.
Football 2K8
Yeah.
or something like that. And I
Yeah.
can't believe I pulled that from my head. But the NFL desperately needs to revoke EA's exclusivity license. Let them keep making the game, but let 2K also make it. Now, that being said, 2K, while I think they make a great game, they also monetize the crap out of them. So, like, I would imagine it would be a heavily monetized game. But man, NFL 2K5 was so good. I would love for there to be some competition.
You gotta
So
love
you-
those 2K microtransactions.
I do. Yeah.
So you play Madden and you play 2K basketball, right?
Yeah.
So for the career mode and just like the things you can do outside of playing
Oh,
the game,
2K.
who does it better?
2K. 2K does it better than anybody.
So if they did a football game, it would be really cool then.
Be phenomenal. Yeah. Oh
Okay.
my God. Yeah. Imagine like street football, like walking around the world, like just playing football, like in the city. Oh, that'd be so
Do
cool.
backyard football.
Dude,
That'd be cool.
Needs to happen. Needs to happen.
Well, that was a fun topic, I must say.
Yes.
Welcome.
Those are all good picks. And for those of you that are listening after the fact, go on our comments for this episode in YouTube and leave us a game franchise that maybe we mentioned or didn't mention that you would like to see come back. Give us your thoughts or opinions on that. Also, you can go to any of our social medias and hit us up as well. Now, before we go, though, and before we get into the rest of the show, I can't forget that we have to do the mystery question of the week. Because I forgot to do it last week, and it's just perfect because now you're here, Justin. So
Yes.
Listen,
So
let's
let's go
just blame
ahead.
Justin for anything that happened last week. He's obviously the glue that holds us together. So him being gone, it's just his
Yeah.
fault.
So Justin, I think I let Jared pick last time in regards of the number between. So give me a number between 1 and 20, and you can go first.
8.
Okay, Jared.
9. We're gonna Price is Right this.
Jeez.
Now the number was 3, so Justin
Dang
got
it.
it.
Boom.
Now, Justin, now I need you to give me a number between 1 and 60.
16.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's a good question. All right. 16?
Yeah.
So if you could only watch one genre of movies for the rest of your life, what would it be?
That's tough.
It is. And I'm going to repeat the question. If you could only watch one genre of movies for the rest of your life, what would it be? I think for me, I already have my answer.
I think I have mine
for,
as well.
For me, it would have to be sci-fi, personally. Because I just feel like with sci-fi, you could do so much with it. With action movies, they're always action. But with sci-fi, there's so many different types of stories you could tell through sci-fi. So for me, I would have to say sci-fi, because sci-fi, I think, encapsulates space. You can also be on Earth and it can still be sci-fi based. Like,
That's true.
so for me, I would have to say sci-fi.
It's a good pick.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was gonna say action movie until that or action movies until that exact statement you just made. So I'm gonna switch my answer to sci-fi.
Oh my gosh. I was given feedback on this podcast, and one of the feedback piece I was given is we're too nice and we always agree with each other. And now that further shows that.
Well,
That's
I mean,
funny.
it is a very good point. I mean, honestly, though, I'm gonna stick with action movies. I'm gonna stick with action movies just because, not because you said that. Let me.
Oh, here we go.
Wait, what do you mean we're too nice to each other?
Oh God.
What's happening?
No, pull me up.
No,
Oh my God. Oh my God. No.
not again.
No!
That was the
don't
worst
wanna
idea you've had. I
Justin,
don't
you
wanna
love
watch
this so
again.
much.
Yeah,
You love
I don't
this
wanna
so
watch
much.
He was trying to stall so he could have more time to think about his answer.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I never got to finish my statement, Justin.
No,
I was
sorry,
rudely
sorry.
interrupted by.
All right,
Cliff.
That's what happens
By
when
what?
you two are in a room together.
By this?
As
Oh
soon
my
as
God.
you went, Jared went with you, and then yanked me off.
No.
Anyways, I was gonna switch it to sci-fi, but I think I'm gonna stick with action movies.
I can
just
still hear it.
Both of you in here that are big.
We
What
had
have we
to mute
done?
it before he took it away. Sorry.
just because
for next
I'm a big fan of like war movies and stuff like that, but I think of like Mission Impossible, all of like the classic like 80s action movies, which you can still go like it's kind of as you were saying, you can go comedy with that as well. Because I think like Lethal Weapon, it's an action movie, but it's still a comedy. But stuff like that, I think it still would give me a good bit of stuff to watch, but I would still have like that action and scratch the itch.
Okay. Justin, it's finally over to you.
I gotta play the clip again because I can't think yet. Hang on. No, I'm kidding. I was torn. It's actually funny because I wasn't torn between like really any of your all's options. I was torn between drama and comedy. Those are the two movie genres I usually gravitate to the most.
Well, I will tell you, to help you with your decision, you seem to be a bigger fan of dark comedies, if that helps. So,
yeah, I think I am leaning comedy because I'm not always in the mood to like. I may come home after a long week and I'm not like,
that's a good
let's go
call.
put on a sad movie, you know.
Yeah,
Instead, I
that's
could
a good
put on
call.
like funny movies. So I'm gonna go with comedies,
Okay, that's a good answer. I would
especially if
say,
Ted Apatow keeps making them.
yeah, that's
He's the
true.
man.
Yeah. That's a good pick. I was wondering what you were gonna say. I was thinking it was gonna be drama, but it
Well,
is
my
comedy.
favorite movies typically are dramas. Like last year,
I mean, you have a
think
tattoo of a drama on you.
I
for
do,
sure.
yeah. So like, I think I like dramas more, but if I could only watch one for the rest of my life, I think it'd be a comedy.
Okay. All right. Well, that was a good. I hope you all enjoyed that question. I think that was a good one.
I found Oppenheimer hilarious though, so I'm gonna watch that one as part of the rules.
Listen, I couldn't stop laughing. 7 pounds, like I just couldn't stop laughing.
Oh,
The
my
theater
gosh,
was
that
dead
is
quiet, but
The
everybody
last
was
10
looking
minutes
at
of
me, but I
that
couldn't figure
movie
out why.
are yeah, the last 10 minutes of that movie are hilarious.
But no, Travis, you made me watch that movie, and it was like 11:30 p.m. watching that movie for the first time, and I'm just sitting there like, why?
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. I remember that,
And that's why it's a comedy.
Yep.
I was
exactly
crying
right.
from laughter, obviously.
Yeah, crying from the inside. All right. So now let's go ahead and get into what we are looking forward to. So what are you guys looking? What are y'all looking forward to coming up? I don't know how much this has changed since last week, but what do you got? What do you got going on?
I'll go first. I mean, for me, obviously, I would like to. I don't know if we'll be able to do it tonight, but I would like to stream some more with you guys. Definitely play some more Chain Together. Obviously,
Yeah,
some
that was a
fun
good
comes
time.
from that. Other than that, really, the only thing Justin quit it.
You need to. Yeah, the worst.
Only
I'll
other thing
delete it. It's gone.
for now. The only other thing I've really got coming up is Thursday and Friday this week. I'll be out of town. It is a work trip, but I'm heading to Columbus, Ohio. But I will have some free time while I'm up that way to kind of just do my own thing and get some good food while I'm up there. Maybe do a little bit of shopping. Maybe head to the Lego store because that is kind of my addiction here recently. So
What kind of food are you looking for up there? I've got some recommendations.
I really don't know. Usually, I always go to the grilled cheese place up there. Is typically where I go.
Tom and
but-
Chi.
Justin, you are judging me, and I don't like it.
Listen,
Linda.
I'm
He's gonna. Let me guess. Before the words come out of your mouth, he's gonna give you a recommendation for a Brazilian steakhouse.
That's 100% right. Rodizio, baby. Let's go.
How did
Rodizio.
I guess?
Have you
He
had a
loves the
Brazilian
meat
steakhouse?
sweats.
Have you
I
had
The
ha-
meat sweats.
I have had I have had a Brazilian steakhouse. I do love the meat sweats just as much as you
Yeah,
probably.
That's
So
so good.
might be a move.
Okay. All right.
Having the meat sweats is better than having sweaty meat. If I'm just saying that.
It is. I
hate
would
that
agree.
Sentence.
Is he wrong though?
No, I mean he's not wrong. It's just a gross thing to say out loud.
Just
All right.
think about that while you're trying to give your answer, Justin. Just think about
Yeah.
it. Just
Yeah,
think about
Justin, what do you
sweaty
got?
meat.
What do you got going on? Other
So
than
I
having
guess I'm not a
sweaty
team
meats?
player. I didn't put it in the notes, but I'm gonna say streaming with you guys. That was fun. And then Black Ops 6. I am excited to Jared. Now I'm thrown off. Jared put something gross in the notes. Now he's doing something with it. I'm so
Don't worry
distracted
about
by
it. Just keep going. Just
all right. Black Ops 6. I'm excited to try it. Oh gosh. The font's getting larger. Black Ops 6, I gotta lock in. Black Ops 6 comes out this week. I'm really excited to try it out, even though the beta may be a little iffy. And then Dragon Age of the Veilguard next week. I am super pumped for that. And there's something on here. What does that say? Travis is doing something now. Travis is gonna highlight it and paste it, I think, maybe to Jared.
For audio listeners, this is probably the worst thing that they could ever hear.
No, obviously for the video people too, they're not seeing it either.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Why don't you tell them what it says?
Jared wrote in all caps, "sweaty wieners."
Yeah, that's
So,
something I'm
there's that.
looking forward to.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
anything else?
That's
Nope.
it for now.
Okay. So for me, vacation starts next week. I'll be heading to West Virginia on Monday, I think it's the 28th. So looking forward to that. Getting lunch with these boys, and I said lunch with
And
Justin
I
and Jared.
said dinner, not doing lunch.
Listen, all I'm saying is I heard dinner the first few times we talked about this. And
We did say
dinner would work better for me. And
Dinner
I'm
works
just
better for
saying,
me.
two against one here, Travis.
Not all of us like to sleep in, okay, Jared. And then I also am looking forward to continue to stream. I had a lot of fun. We don't need to pull the video up again, but I had a lot of fun streaming. And I'm anxious to get back to it and also see what other games we can have some shenanigans with. If you all have any suggestions, feel free to write in and let us know.
I do want to try that game you mentioned. I want to try Party Animals.
Yeah, we'll try that. I tried the single player stuff, just trying to get the mechanics and figure that out. But it's definitely got like those, not Among Us. What's the other game where you're, it's like it starts off at 100 people and you go and it eliminates over time.
Fall Guys.
Yeah, it has those type of physics. So you're just falling all over the place and all kinds of stuff. So, all right. Well, now it's time to get into our picks of the week. So, Jared, give us your pick of the week.
Pick of the week for me is going to be a little game called Satisfactory.
It's good. It's a good game.
It has been out for a while. I didn't realize that it actually just went into 1.0 a couple weeks ago. So, but I've been enjoying that a lot. I've been playing a lot of that with Kanan and Cameron. But having a lot of fun with that. Of course, it's very grindy in some aspects of just figuring out how you want to automate everything, where you have to move it to, stuff like that. But ultimately, really been enjoying it. So,
hell yeah. All right, Justin, what about you? I'm surprised to see this pick. I don't see you as a very spooky person.
Yeah, I mentioned at the top of the show, but Silent Hill 2 is very good. It's very engaging. And I said before, I'd never played a Silent Hill game before. This is my first one. So, yeah, I'm having a good time. I might go back and also revisit some of the others.
So, question about Silent Hill. Travis, you've played Silent Hill 2 before, correct?
Yes.
The original. Justin, not going to say anything, not going to talk about anything that's going to ruin it for you, but has anybody ruined this game for you? Or are you going into it fresh, don't know anything?
Oh, God, fresh. Why? I don't know anything.
Perfect. When you get to the end of this game, okay,
Oh, no.
I just, very easy task of you. I just need you to text us in the group message and give me your thoughts on what you realize, what comes to the surface at the very end of the game. So that's all I need you to do.
Yeah.
Travis knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
For me, I actually have two picks, but they're kind of one. So here recently, I've been trying to find some cozy puzzle-like games to play with my significant other. She's not really played video games before, so I've been trying to find things that allow her to play games and us to do stuff together. So the two games that we played recently is The Unfinished Swan is one of them. So the studio that makes this game is called Giant Sparrow, and they make a few games. So we finished The Unfinished Swan. So if you're looking for a cozy puzzle-like game to play with a significant other, that's a great one. And then right after that, we played What Remains of Edith Finch, which is made by the same studio. And it's also a cozy, but also a little darker puzzle game. And they actually have little tie-ins to The Unfinished Swan, which is kind of cool. But those are my two picks. If you're looking for a cozy game to play with a significant other, what? Go ahead.
A little bit of a just recommendation for you. If you haven't played it yet, It Takes Two. is a very
We
fun...
actually started that one, and that one was a little bit more. That was actually the first game we tried to play together.
I was gonna say it's
and
a
we
little bit
did-
more mechanic heavy.
We'll probably go back and revisit that one now that she's more familiar with how moving around in the environment stuff works. So we got to the point in It Takes Two where one person shoots the nail and the other has to swing across. And she had to swing across, then that was not the easiest thing for her to do. So we will revisit that at another time. But that is a great suggestion. Maybe we should play that game where you have to break out of prison together. What's that one called? Not No Way Out.
No,
Yeah, I
it
think
actually
it
is No Way Out.
Is it? Okay, yeah. That I've always wanted to play that game. I've never played it. And I think it's cool that it shows it from two different points of view, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But anyways, anything else to add before we close out, guys?
I think that's all I've got.
Well, keep a lookout on social media as we start to stream more. We're going to try to start planning it out a little further in advance. So we'll start scheduling them and you'll know ahead of time when they're starting to come. But we may have some moments where we pop in and maybe do a stream for 45 minutes just randomly if it just comes up in the moment. But we're going to try to be a little bit more consistent, a little bit more deliberate about when we stream. So make sure that you come hang out with us. Once again, just a reminder, make sure that you go follow us on TikTok. That's the only platform that we can't go live on because we don't have enough followers. You have to have 1,000, and I think we're only at like 25. So if you're listening to this, please go over to TikTok, like our page. Also, check us out on YouTube. For those of you that have only listened to us in audio format, we've been doing – way to go, Jared.
That was
We've been
perfect
doing-
timing, too, with the audio format. Same
Yeah.
as the loud noise.
Shit.
Yeah, we've been doing the audio format for a long time, but we've also been on YouTube for a long time. So if you've never went out and checked us on YouTube, we're also trying to clip more of our stuff from our streams, but also from our episodes to put in video format as well. So make sure that you do that. But like and subscribe and make sure that you share that stuff. But outside of that, until next time, this has been Nerds with Mics. Peace. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Nerds with Mics. If you enjoyed today's deep dive into all things nerdy, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please make sure not to forget to leave us a review wherever you listen or watch. Your feedback always helps us grow. And if you know a fellow nerd that would love the show, share it with them. Until next time, stay nerdy, stay awesome, and keep those mics on.